Hi everybody, it's me Jill and welcome to Jill Informed. This is the recap of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Season 1, Episode 3. Everybody Needs a Switzerland. We open up with Lisa and her husband and their son in the car. They're driving, I don't know where they're driving. Lisa's got real raspy voice today. First Lisa's like, "John, I need a Diet Coke so bad." And then she says to her son Henry, who's 7, he's in the back seat, "For real? Like for real, you gotta work on the 10 Commandments. Just give me 2 of them." And I think he says, "Thou shalt not smoke and thou shalt not do anything bad." She's like, "Okay, what's bad?" Bear in mind this little boy 7. He goes, looking at porn. She goes, "That's a good one. Gotta stay away from that." Oh, God. I mean, I'm not a religious person, but pretty sure thou shalt not look at porn. Not one of the 10 Commandments, but apparently little Henry thinks it is. We cut over to Meredith and her pseudo-husband son, Brooks. They're having some treatment done with like electrodes on their stomachs, and the girl's like, "Okay, this is going to be just like working out. You're going to like stimulate the muscles." And Brooks is laying there and he goes, "This is the most I've worked out in 5 months." Okay, next we see Whitney with a friend of hers going into this place. It says Prohibition on the sign, but then he says, "Welcome to Murray's Antiques and Oddities. What are you ladies here for today?" And she said, "I am checking the space out to hold an event here." The guy goes, "An event at an antique store? What kind of event were you talking about?" I mean, is this a place for events or not? It's so weird. It would be like if I walked into a Target and said, "Yes, I'm checking this space out for an event." Ma'am, this is a Target. So, no. So he's like, "What, what'd you have in mind?" And she goes, "Well, something a little wet." Excuse me? Not so dry. She's being all coy, and I have no idea what she's talking about. This man apparently does, though, because he said, "So, during Prohibition, it is a dry country, right?" And she goes, "Yeah." And he's like, "All right, well, let's go inside and see." Oh, all right. Oh, okay. So it was all a joke because they go through a secret door and it really is like a bar, but the outside looks like an antique store. I mean, it's cute, but the whole exchange at the beginning now kind of pisses me off because I didn't know what was happening. Anyway, so she's having about 30 people. We don't know what the event is yet. I kind of liked it before when I thought that Whitney just wanted to have a party in an antique store. Okay, next we check in with Heather. Okay, so apparently 5 of the employees at Beauty Lab are pregnant at the same time. So Heather is giving each of them little toy Range Rovers. She's like, "Yeah, they think we're going to give them like diapers and bottles and things like that, but we're going to give them little Range Rovers. Isn't that so, Beauty Lab?" Okay, next, I don't know if you guys have noticed this or not, but whenever we have a scene with Jen, it starts with a close-up on her feet, specifically her sandaled feet stepping out of a car into snow. So before I even see who it is, I know that it is Jen. And she is coming over to Heather's house and they're talking about the baby shower that Heather's throwing for all her employees. And she wants all the guests to bring a baby picture of themselves and then they have to guess who's who. Also, everyone is supposed to wear all white because Heather wants them to focus on love and not just having the perfect baby. Don't know what wearing all white has to do with that, but in any case, in the Mormon religion, Heather tells us that what a woman does at her job or outside of the home is nothing compared to how important what she does in the home and how she takes care of her children and her husband is. So Heather has this cute picture of one of her little girls, and Jen's like, "Why do you not have this blown up somewhere in the house?" And Heather's like, because when I got divorced, I stopped doing everything. I stopped taking pictures of the kids, everything. And Jen's like, "Well, after you got divorced, then why did you stay like that? Were people telling you couldn't like do things? Heather says that all she was born to do was have a family. And when you get divorced, that's taken away from you. Ugh. Heather says that she chose her husband not because he was the love of her life, but because he was Mormon. You guys, this story is getting worse and worse. So she said that after 11 years of marriage, her husband just told her he didn't want to be married to her anymore, and he left. And she's been very resentful of him because she said she curtailed her natural instincts the whole time they were married in order to achieve this family and marriage in the temple. And that, you know, she gave up a lot for that. And now here he is saying that he's giving up on her. Okay, so then she said that in 4 generations on both mother's side and father's side, 0 divorce. Heather is the first. And Jen's trying to say, okay, but see, that's what they put on you. It doesn't mean anything. And Heather goes, what are you talking about? It means everything to me. My heart is Mormon, but here I am divorced. You know, her other friends are like, yeah, but that's not your fault. It doesn't make you a bad person. And she's like, yeah, it does because I'm divorced. And Jen goes, what are you supposed to do? Stay married in a horrible relationship? Heather, yeah, 100%. In her confessional, the producer is asking Heather, have you ever been in love? And she's like, I mean, I think when I was 15, maybe, I loved somebody who didn't even like me back. But no, I don't think I've ever been like deeply in love. This is heartbreaking. Okay, in this next scene, Jen is coming over to Meredith's house, and Meredith's daughter is there too. Chloe is 18, and of course Brooks is there because he lives with her right now. So Meredith is making cocktails. Well, she's making margaritas, but she forgets to put the top on the blender, so it kind of goes all over. And then the doorbell rings and it's Jen. They talk about the 1920s party they're going to, and Jen's like, I'm looking forward to my outfit. So I guess that's gonna be Whitney's party, right? Because it's the whole prohibition and all that kind of thing. So everybody's dressing 1920s. So she's telling them that Sharif has some coaching thing he has to do. So she was thinking about having a sleepover party and, you know, drinks and like high kicks. And Chloe goes, what are high kicks? Like shoes? And she goes, no, I would do it right now, but then you could see my vagina. So she does it anyway, but the way she's like turned, it doesn't look bad to me. It doesn't look like she is flashing anybody. But then we get Brooks's confessional and he said, I'm feeling really uncomfortable right now. Her vagina is in my face. I'm beyond shocked that my mom is around someone doing something like that in front of her children. So I love Brooks, but unless there was something more that went on that they didn't show on this episode, I think he's overreacting a little bit. Okay, back with Lisa. She is taking her older son out for a driving lesson, I guess, and she's like, I'm so stressed out. And her husband said, just close your eyes. That's what you do, but I can't do that. I'm so scared. Now we are at a restaurant with Mary and Meredith. So Mary tells Meredith that her 17-year-old son has his first girlfriend and now he doesn't need her as much. So he's pulling away and Meredith is like, well, you know, that's pretty normal. And then they talk about how long they each have been married. And Mary's like, well, when you've been married as long as we have, things aren't perfect or something like that. And Meredith said, yeah, I've never understood these people who are like, oh, I have a perfect life. I have a perfect marriage. My children are perfect. La, la, la. Mary goes, my happiness is a 9. Mary is fun to watch, you guys. I don't know if Mary's talking about someone specifically because she goes, no. You need to stop. You've been married 20 years. I know your happiness is not at a 9. Who are you talking about, Mary? Because Meredith was just using a hypothetical. You know, she goes, oh, I hate people that act like everything's perfect. Mary seems to be talking about someone specific. Mary then tells Meredith that her marriage was arranged. So leaving is not an option. This is an interesting franchise, guys. So Mary tells us in her confessional, and some of this we already know, she is married to her grandmother's second husband, her step-grandfather. And her grandmother made it very clear in her will that she wanted Mary to basically inherit all this stuff, like the church, her husband. And Mary said that, you know, also meant homes and money. So I think Mary just kind of took this on and thought to herself, I will take the good with the bad. But she's also like, you know, part of that was my grandmother wanted me to marry her husband. Don't think I didn't think that was weird, because it was. But I also trusted my grandmother. She's like, and I am so glad I did. Oh God, you guys, it gets weirder. Mary is now estranged from her own mother because her mother thought that she should have gotten the church. She thought she should have married Robert. Really? You guys all wanted your mother's husband? This is like a movie, you guys. So the producer asked Mary, did you sleep with him on your wedding night? And she said, no, I was on my period, thank God. And then, you know, my period lasted like 3 weeks. She just kind of stretched it out. Are you sure you still have your period? Yep, still have it. Yep. And then finally she just asked God to, you know, guide her, I guess. And she got over it. Meredith wants Mary to talk more about her church. She said, and I would love to come sometime. And Mary said, oh, I would love to invite you. And she said, you know that Whitney and her father are coming this week. And Meredith said, oh, I would love to come as well. So she kind of invited herself. Next, we are back at Meredith's house, and we get a confessional with Brooks, who said that when Reed and Chloe and I found out that my parents were separating, I took a semester off of school to support my mom, basically. Oh, and also to work on his clothing line. So Meredith said, so what's going on, Brooks? And he said, well, I think you could tell that Chloe and I were very uncomfortable the night that Jen was here. And she's like, well, yeah, it was kind of a surprise for me, so I'm sorry if you guys were uncomfortable. What did I miss? Her doing the leg kick thing? She turned her whole body to the side and like kicked her legs. I felt like she kept her knees together. I don't know. There had to be more than we saw. That's what I think. He's like, you know, she can act however she wants, but she shouldn't do it in your home with your children there. Chloe and I saw parts of that woman that we never should have had to see. Okay, maybe they did see more than I thought. Meredith's like, okay, I hear you. But like Jen wanted to do a sleepover on Saturday, and Brooks goes, yeah, that's not going to happen. Your kids want to spend time with you. Chloe's leaving soon. And she's like, okay. And he goes, well, what are you going to do? And she said, well, I'll just text her and tell her that we're not going to do Saturday and I just want to spend time with my kids. Oh my God, we're back to Mary. We're at her house now with her and her husband. And she's like, when we first got married, and I thought, wow, my grandmother really knows how to pick him. This guy's great. It's so weird, you guys. And she said, but then when Robert Jr. was born, you know, then he became my focus. And Robert Sr. just became Robert Sr. So, yeah. So what's going on now is that Mary doesn't like that her son has a girlfriend and doesn't need her anymore. So I believe she is going to work on trying to get him away from that girlfriend. She's starting by saying that he's not learning anything at the school he's at right now. It's just he's only going there for this girl. And so she got him accepted to a school, a private school, but it's in LA. He's a junior in high school. And she wants him to go to a private school for his junior and senior year so that he can get into a good college. I'm sorry, I question whether she would have been doing this if he didn't have a girlfriend. In her confessional, she's like, he's at that age where he could spiral up or down. And so I have found a good boarding school for him. And if I say he's going to boarding school, he's going to boarding school. He doesn't know that yet, though. So she calls him down to the kitchen to talk about school. Oh, she is really selling this. She's like, you don't want to go to a boarding school, even if it's co-ed? It's in LA. She tells him, you can be honest. And he said, I feel like I could go to a regular school. I feel like it would be kind of lonely. Side note, right in the middle of this conversation, Robert Sr. thinks it's a good idea to run the blender. He's just standing there with his hand on the blender, listening. Oh, God. And then he goes, I don't want to go to a boarding school because I can't be without my girlfriend, Mary. Oh, she's got some good expressions, you guys. Okay, I'm not sure how this ends because she goes, okay, it's clear you're going to a different school though, right? And he goes, mm-hmm. And she goes, okay, love you, bye. So did he agree to go to a different school but not a boarding school? Is that what this is? Maybe. Okay, you guys, it is time to go to church. Yep, we are all at Faith Temple, and we see Whitney and her dad heading in. They both admit that it's been about 10 years since they've been in church. Meredith is there also, and in comes the First Lady, Mary Cosby. And she's very dramatic. There's a lot of dancing, and Meredith says that she's Jewish and she's in the minority in Utah, but that she loved the way Mary connected with her congregation. Mary was getting emotional. Whitney and her dad were getting really emotional. Okay, next we are at the Shaw Chalet. And you guys, could I just live there, please? We are introduced to the Shaw Squad. It is an entire staff of people that work for Jen every day. Right now, they are going through her look for the 1920s party. It's like a test run for, I guess the party's the next day. So Jen tells one of the stylists, I was supposed to have a sleepover tomorrow night at Meredith's. And they go, oh yeah, you told us about that. And she said, yeah, so Meredith called me this morning and said, I have to cancel the sleepover because Chloe wants to spend time with me. Jen says her feelings are hurt. She said, Chloe is in her first year of college. She doesn't want to spend time with you. But if she only knew that, Brooks was driving that train, maybe she would go a little bit easier on Meredith. Okay, now it is the night of the baby shower that Heather is having for her 5 employees who are all pregnant at the same time. Everyone is to wear all white, as I said before. I mean, it's beautiful, but with all the white, and I don't know, I'm getting a real Handmaid's vibe here. So the only housewives that are there, other than Heather, of course, are Whitney, her cousin, and Jen. So the 3 of them go off to talk, and they're talking about looking forward to Whitney's 1920s party. And Whitney said, yeah, I really meant it when I said clean slate. So I invited Lisa, and it'll be the first time that all of us are together since the ski trip. And Jen goes, that's good. Is Lisa coming? And she said she was. And then she goes, wait a minute, is Mary Cosby coming? And she goes, yeah. So not so sure that Jen is doing the whole clean slate thing with Mary. She is, let's just say she's not doing clean slate. I don't care. Clean slate, dirty slate, that bitch is irrelevant. Oh my God, Jen. She's like, I don't care what you do, but do not attack my family. She didn't attack your family. When she said, you smell like hospital, that was not an attack on your aunt who just had her legs amputated. Mary didn't even know that. So how that turned into an attack on her, these women. Whitney goes, you know why I like Mary in her church? Because I took my father there, and that community of people was so accepting and loving. Jen goes, so Jen's like, oh, she also mentioned that Meredith was there. And Jen's like, Meredith? You're going to go to Mary's church? And Heather goes, I feel like Meredith likes Mary. And Jen's like, Meredith just wants to play like Switzerland. Heather goes, everyone needs a Switzerland friend. Hence the name of this episode. And Jen goes, yeah, but then you're not really a friend. So Jen is the one who wants you to be ride or die. Jen, you know, in her confessional, she said, I understand why Whitney went for her dad. But Meredith knows what's going on between me and Mary. And to me, Meredith going to Mary's church is a dig against me. Now, Jen's already predisposed to being angry with Meredith because she canceled the sleepover plans. Jen goes, I mean, listen, you can't be friends with her and then be friends with me. I'm not saying choose. I'm just saying tell me. You kind of are saying choose. You're saying you can't be friends with both of them. All right, guys, now it is time for the Prohibition 1920s party. I'm still not sure why Whitney's having this party. Maybe there's no reason. That's fine. But everyone's getting ready. Whitney shows up, and then we get a new confessional with Whitney, and holy moly, that's quite a dress, quite a hairstyle, and boy, oh boy, that is a real set of eyebrows she's got there. Oh yay, we're in luck. There's a poll. Yeah, Whitney's not on it, but the night is young. So all the ladies arrive in their 1920s garb, except, well, Meredith. Meredith is wearing like a bell-bottom pantsuit. So, yeah, Whitney's like, I was wondering if Meredith misread the invitation because it's 1920s and not 1970s. There's a lot going on here. We do have some Cirque du Soleil-ish performers on spinning around on rings and things like that. And then we've got a cowboy on the pole. Is that a 1920s thing? It's all very interesting to me. Jen is the last to arrive, and she's got some of her entourage there to kind of fluff out the train of her dress as she walks in. And she said that she had a couple of cocktails before she got there because, she's still a little miffed about Meredith canceling their plans that evening. Jen's like, I want to give Meredith the benefit of the doubt, but the first thing I see is her over in the corner with Mary M. Cosby. Oh, come on. Lord have mercy. Are you, what? Jen is not having this. Okay, and that is where this episode ends, you guys. So we are going to have to wait until next week to see more of this party. Thank you so much for being here. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Also, don't forget to leave a comment down below. I love to hear from you guys, and I always want to know what you think about these shows. I will be back next week for the next recap of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. I hope you join me. Bye.